This race doesn't just showcase speed, it breaks down everything that defines elite sprinting at the highest level. In this video, we take a closer look at one of the most competitive 100-meter clashes of the season at the Rabat Diamond League. With a lineup featuring Akani Simbine, Letsile Tebogo, Fred Kerley, and other top athletes, every phase of the race matters. From the explosive start to the final meters, we analyze who executed best, where the race was won, and why some of the biggest names fell short. This is not just highlights. This is a full performance breakdown.
Sixth in the Doha 200 last Saturday. He goes in two. There's Ferdinand Omanyala, Commonwealth champion in Birmingham 3 years ago, remember. Bubbly character, Omanyala from Kenya. Very fast starter. Been in mixed form though, second in China and then ninth in China earlier on last month. Fred Kerley, one of those few athletes who's broken 10 seconds for 100, 20 seconds for 200 and 44 for 400. He won here back in 2023 and that 9.94 is still the meeting record. He's the Olympic bronze medalist from last year. There's Simbine, the fastest man in the world this year. Fourth in the Olympic Games last year, the South African. He was bronze medalist at the World Indoors in Nanjing back in March. I call him the nearly man. He's had so many performances where he's finished fourth and fifth in major championships. Letsile Tebogo, the Olympic 200-meter champion. He holds the national records and, in fact, the African record for 100 and 200. But hasn't been under 10 seconds yet this year, the former footballer. He goes in sixth, the Botswanan. Emmanuel Aseme of Cameroon, All-Africa Games champion last year. And only 3 times under 10 seconds, a couple of times in 23, once last year. Hasn't broken 10 seconds yet this year, Aseme. He's in 7. Brandon Hicklin, the world number 2, goes in lane 8. The American ran leg 4 for the USA at the World Relays 2 weeks ago when they took the silver medal in the 4x100. And 5th in Grand Slam track in Miramar a couple of weeks back over 100 and 200. That was 3 weeks ago, actually. And then Sean Maswanganyi of South Africa completes the lineup in lane 9. Only 7th in Doha over 220.7 last Saturday. But I think he's got big potential at 200. Coached by Carl Lewis, by the way. Maswanganyi there, nearest the camera to write a picture. Plenty of dignitaries in this packed-out stadium. I've never seen it so full here. All my years coming to this meeting. Simbine, by the way, in fabulous areas. Simbine goes in lane 5 in the all-red. He won both Diamond League 100s so far this year at the 2 Chinese meeting. He's in fabulous form, the fastest man in the world this season, Simbine, with 9.90. His lifetime best, 9.82, came at the Paris Games last year when he just missed out on the medals. He was 4th in Paris, 4th in Tokyo Games, and back in 2016, in Rio. That's why I call him the nearly man, and there's been several other 4ths and 5ths. But watch this: Omanyala in 3, Kerley in 4, Simbine in 5, Tebogo, the Olympic champion at 200, in 6, 4th from left. I thought there was a little twitch there from but he gets away with it, going really well. Omanyala at the moment. Omanyala 3rd from the top, easing away. Simbine 2 looking strong through the second half. Simbine the strongest. Omanyala 2nd, and between them, Fred Kerley 9.95, and with a very slight following wind. That is great running, very, very crisp running indeed. Some 14 men have broken 10 seconds this year, and Omanyala, well, he led the first half, probably led through to about 60, but I think it was Simbine who came through to take that.
Yeah, very good. He's been in great form, hasn't he? Continuing it, as you said, Tim, and you know, it's just always a question of whether he takes it through. And I mean, world champs for everybody, long way away in September, but right now he is beating everybody else. Omanyala 100% right. You got a great start. Fred Kerley got left. Tebogo looked a little bit lethargic for me, and just adds to what I didn't think was a great run necessarily in Doha. This 200 his best event, obviously, but he's normally better than this. Just doesn't look sharp at all, Tebogo. So this point though, Simbine has just got that momentum. Kerley comes back into it over the last 20 meters, but Simbine the more all-rounded sprinter at the minute. Just gets up to good speed fairly quickly, maybe not out of the blocks as quick as Omanyala. We know how fast he is over that first 20-25 meters, but never manages to quite maintain in the same way that his African counterpart did. So South Africa cheering on Simbine, I'm sure. 9.95, just a hundredth outside the meeting record.
Yeah, but winning by a tenth of a second, that's a good meter at the standard these fellas.
The men's 100 meters at the Rabat Diamond League was not just another fast race. It was a precise snapshot of where global sprinting stands right now. A field blending established championship performers with ambitious rising names created the perfect environment for a high-quality, tactically layered sprint. And in that environment, Akani Simbine delivered a performance that was both efficient and authoritative, redefining expectations against athletes like Letsile Tebogo and Fred Kerley. From the blocks, the race immediately revealed its structure. Ferdinand Omanyala, as expected, produced one of the fastest reaction and drive phases in the field. His acceleration over the first 30 meters was aggressive and technically sharp, allowing him to establish an early visual advantage. However, what became clear by the midpoint of the race was that this early dominance would not hold. Omanyala's transition phase, often the most difficult segment for pure power starters, lacked the fluidity required to maintain momentum against more balanced sprinters. Akani Simbine, in contrast, executed one of the cleanest race models in the field. His reaction time was not the fastest, but it was composed, allowing him to build acceleration progressively rather than explosively. Between 30 and 60 meters, Simbine's stride pattern stood out, relaxed, controlled, and mechanically efficient. This phase is often where races at this level are decided, and Simbine used it to neutralize Omanyala's early advantage while simultaneously positioning himself ahead of the rest of the field. Fred Kerley's race followed a different trajectory. Known for his strength in the latter half of the sprint, Kerley appeared slightly constrained in the drive phase. His transition into upright running came a fraction later than ideal, which forced him into a reactive position rather than a controlling one. While his top-end speed remains elite, the deficit created in the first half of the race limited his ability to fully deploy it. By the final 20 meters, Kerley was moving well, but the gap to Simbine was already decisive. Letsile Tebogo, one of the most intriguing young sprinters in the world, showed flashes of his potential, but also the areas that still require refinement. His transition phase lacked the sharpness needed to compete with seasoned 100-meter specialists. Tebogo's strength traditionally lies in his speed endurance and 200-meter capabilities, and that profile was evident here. Over the final meters, he maintained form and composure, but he was unable to match the pure top-end velocity that Simbine sustained. What separated Simbine in this race was not just speed, but execution under pressure. His upright phase from 60 meters onward was exceptionally stable, minimal lateral movement, efficient arm action, and consistent stride frequency. This level of technical precision allowed him to maintain velocity while others began to tighten or lose efficiency. In elite sprinting, the difference is often not who runs faster in absolute terms, but who loses the least speed in the closing phase. Simbine mastered that balance. Another critical factor was race distribution. Unlike Omanyala, who front-loaded his effort, or Kerley, who relied more on a late surge, Simbine distributed his energy evenly across all phases. This even distribution created a race profile that was difficult to challenge. By the time the field entered the final 30 meters, the outcome was effectively decided, not through a dramatic surge, but through cumulative efficiency. This performance also carries broader implications for the global sprinting hierarchy. Simbine has long been regarded as one of the most consistent performers on the circuit, often reaching finals but rarely dominating fields of this caliber. In Rabat, however, he did more than win. He controlled the race against athletes with proven championship pedigree and emerging global influence. For Kerley, the race highlights the need to refine early phase execution if he aims to return to peak championship form. His versatility remains unmatched, but in a pure 100 meters context, margins are too small to concede ground in the first half. Tebogo, meanwhile, continues to evolve. His long-term trajectory still suggests greater impact in the 200 meters. But performances like this are essential steps in adapting to the demands of the shortest sprint. Ultimately, Rabat was a race defined not by chaos, but by clarity. Every athlete revealed exactly where they stand, technically, physically, and tactically. And at the center of that clarity was Akani Simbine, whose performance was not just fast, but complete.